What does it really take to make a giant tremble? Today, we're going to dive into this incredible story about two absolute titans and a number so huge, so mind-boggling, it completely changes the game on what it means to be powerful.
So let me just start with a simple question. Have you ever heard the name Ray Dalio? It's okay if it doesn't ring a bell right away, but trust me, you're going to want to stick around because by the end of this, you will understand exactly why that name carries so much weight.
All right, so to really grasp the sheer scale of the person at the heart of our story, we need a point of comparison, right? We need a benchmark, and believe me, we are starting with an absolute giant.
And that benchmark is Tony Robbins. Come on, you've definitely heard of him. The man is a living legend, practically a synonym for personal power and achieving the impossible. I mean, think about this guy. Tony Robbins is widely called the world's #1 motivational speaker. This is a man who can run a workshop for 72 hours straight, pushing people way beyond their limits. He's famous for getting thousands of people to walk on hot coals, to prove they can conquer their fears. The source material even says his workshops can turn basically anyone into a commando. That's the kind of intense influence we're talking about here.
So here's the kicker. What happens when this unstoppable force of personality goes to interview someone else? Well, it sets the stage for one of the most memorable meetings you can imagine. Let's just paint the picture here. In one corner, you've got the interviewer, the powerhouse, Tony Robbins. And in the other corner, the interviewee, that name we started with, Ray Dalio. You'd totally expect Robbins to be running the show, right? Driving the whole thing with that signature, unshakable confidence of his. But that is not at all what happened. Instead, we get this. This is a direct quote from Tony Robbins himself, talking about that day. He said, "My legs were trembling." Just let that sink in for a second. The guy who teaches people to walk on fire, the man who builds unbreakable confidence for a living, admitted that he was physically shaken. And that just leads to the obvious question. Why? What on earth could possibly make Tony Robbins, of all people, feel like that? What kind of insane power was he sitting across from? Well, the answer had nothing to do with personality or charisma or anything like that. Nope. It all came down to a single, almost impossible to believe number. The reason for the trembling was Ray Dalio's net worth. At the time, the source estimated it was around 6 lakh crore rupees, which, for those of us thinking in dollars, is roughly 90 billion US dollars. Yeah. This isn't just some successful guy. This is the founder of Bridgewater Associates, the largest hedge fund on the entire planet. We're talking about a level of financial power that is it's hard for anyone to really wrap their head around. Just look at that number for a second. $90 billion. To put that into perspective, that's a level of personal wealth that's bigger than the entire yearly economic output of many countries. This isn't just money, it's a force that can literally move global markets. Now, to even try and get a feel for this sheer scale, the source makes this absolutely wild comparison. It suggests his wealth is like having all the goods in an entire nation. And look, while that's obviously not a literal economic fact, it perfectly captures that feeling of awe, that complete disbelief that a number this massive can create in your mind. So, okay, beyond the crazy numbers and this incredible story, what does it all really tell us? What does it reveal about the nature of power itself? This whole story leaves us with a really deep question. We see one kind of power, this charismatic, personal, in-your-face power of a Tony Robbins. And we see it get totally dwarfed by another kind, the quiet, massive, immense power of capital. So it makes you wonder, what is the true meaning of influence when it reaches a scale like this? When wealth gets to that level, what does it even represent anymore? Now that's something to think about.